Calendar for the day. The first bill on the calendar of the day is Senate File 3540. The clerk will report the bill.
Senate File number 3540, number 1 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to retirement, the second engrossment.
I recognize the author of the bill, the member from Hennepin, Representative. My apologies. Representative Nelson, would you like to put the House and the language in before you present your bill?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, I'd like to put the House language in. That's my motion.
The clerk will report the amendment.
Nelson M. moves to amend Senate File number 3540, the second engrossment as follows. The amendment is coded DEA 4017.
All those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The amendment prevails. The DE amendment prevails. Now on to the bill. Discussion of the bill. The member from Hennepin, Representative Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, this is the technical pension bill from the Commission on Legislative Commission on Pension and Retirements. And members, it's pretty straightforward bill. Article 1 has portions from Representative Hertas, Representative Lueck, Representative Sedin, Representative Frederick, and Representative Farr. And what it goes into is about one section of it is the buying of service credits for military. They can buy up to 5 years of credit. There's amendments to the correctional plan that add 2 people or 2 positions that would be in the correctional plan. One having to do with the dental assistant, the other one having to do with I want to get this right because I missed it last time, having to do with a residential program lead. These people have, if they work more than 75% of their hours, they should be in the correctional plan. Section 7 of the bill, or the next part of the bill is there's factors in computing the annuity under MSRS for the unclassified plan. There's a few bills in here, single bills, one having to do with the spouse of a member that died a month shy of being vested in their pension. It allows her to purchase the 1 month of the pension, paying the full actuarial cost, both the House and the employer and the employee side, plus the accumulated costs that the bill is done, or the pension is done. Section 9 of that also deals with a Department of Corrections employee who to transfer service credits from the general plan to the correctional plan after it was discovered that the employer misreported the employee and that should have been covered under the correctional plan. Article 2 of the bill goes into the Public Employee Retirement Association portion of the bill. It has basically 2 sections, one having to deal with the Duluth Transit Authority. The city of Duluth is buying the transit authority from a private company, and so therefore the employees there will become public employees. What this does is exempt them from having to join PARA. They're already in a pension plan, and they'll be able to stay in the pension plan they are currently in. The next part of that has to do with segmented annuities, and it's just correcting a problem that was created there, and that's what that part does. The next Article 3 of the bill deals with retired teachers' earning limitations, and for the next 2 years, it'll allow teachers who have retired to be able to come back and work and help alleviate some of the teacher shortages we have, and it won't affect their pension going forward. Let me turn the page here. Article 4 of the bill deals with the volunteer firefighter retirement, and there's bills in there that include from Representative Rasmussen, Representative Nelson M., and Representative Hewitt. The statewide firefighters volunteer firefighters plan, it amends some sections of that. And then the Volunteer Firefighter Association will have 3 alternatives for vesting schedules from which they can choose from when they join the statewide plan from their original volunteer plan. If a retiree retires within the first 5 years, they'll use the old plan for calculation of their benefits, and it's just other definitions, procedures for joining the statewide volunteer firefighters plan. There's also changes that are made here from the volunteer firefighters, relief associations, or from the State Auditors Volunteer Firefighters Association Working Group. And it just repeals some maximum benefit levels and makes some other changes, the modified lump sums on those. And other ones that came out of the statewide volunteer firefighters working group. Article 5, it's about allowing advanced practice registered nurses to be part of the discussion for members that are disabled, have been injured, or are disabled. It allows them one more group of people that can look at that. It's within their scope of practice already, but this allows them to be able to make those decisions as whether a person is disabled and unable to return to work. Again, Article 6 then it deals with State Board of Investment. It consists of some necessary changement to there's certain investment professionals that work for the State Board of Investment. In those state classification, there are two classifications that are essentially similar, that some of the ones on those are in para, but these people will not be in para, and it deals with the language for that. There's also an adequacy study of the police disability benefits that's going forward. That's Article 7 of the bill, and Article 8 of the bill, just some technical clarifications and corrections. And with that, Madam Chair, or Madam Speaker, I will stand. There's some amendments, and then I'll stand for questions.
There are amendments at the desk. The clerk will report the amendments.
Nelson M. moves to amend Senate File Number 3540, the second engrossment as amended. The amendment is coded A3.
I recognize the author of the amendment, Representative Nelson M.
Madam Speaker and members, this deals with the article that we talked about. I talked about the study of the adequacy of the police disability benefits. There's a cost in there that we put in Ways and Means to pay for that study. We're just adding that it's a one-time cost, that it's not ongoing. So that's all the amendment does, is it clarifies that as a one-time appropriation.
Discussion. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. There's another amendment at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
O'Driscoll moves to amend Senate File Number 3540, the second engrossment as amended. The amendment is coded A22-0473.
I recognize the author of the amendment, Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. This provision ties back to something that the legislature did in the pension bill in 2020. We have asked if, for example, a school teacher establishes a 403B plan within their district, they have to get approval from the board and from the school in order to be able to do that, which isn't typically the problem. What has happened is, starting in 2020, we passed legislation that these different plans would have to submit to the pension office the rates of return and expenses and the like that are associated with these plans. And since we've implemented this law, we've had a number of organizations come provide us feedback that it's difficult to be able to comply with this and to work with it, and that we maybe have got a few things that need to be cleaned up in statute. So what this amendment does is it delays the implementation of this provision to July 1st of 2024, giving the Pension Commission the next 2 years the opportunity to be able to dig in and to ferret out the things that are at issue and bring something back. By moving it out to July 1st of 2024, we make sure that no one is violating the law at this point, because the statute does call for that paperwork to be submitted. I encourage a yes vote, Madam Speaker.
Discussion. I recognize Representative Nelson M.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. And this is a good amendment. The Senate tried to do this in their language, which is why we put the House language in, and it didn't quite work out. But we need to do this to make sure that nobody falls into violation of the law. So I vote yes on the amendment.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. There's another amendment at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
Sandstad moves to amend Senate File Number 3540, the second engrossment as amended. The amendment is coded A2.
I recognize the author of the amendment, Representative Sandstad.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. This amendment is actually a bill that we were not able to have heard in the Pensions Commission, although I have been in contact with the chairs of both the House and the Senate. What this bill does, or what this amendment does, is it would allow teachers from outstate to buy back credit for retirement purposes. This is on par with what we do already with the military. It is a cost-neutral bill, and it would help districts recruit and retain teachers. This bill has the support of both the TRA and St. Paul Teachers Retirement Association. You should have received a handout on that.
Discussion. I recognize the member from Hennepin, Representative Nelson M.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. And again, as the author of the amendment said, this is similar to what we already do for military people, allow them to be able to buy back or years of their pension. Again, it's a no cost to the plan. The person that's buying this back pays both the employer and the employee checks, and as well as any accrued money that those investments would have made in the plan. Also, members, I understand the states around us all have this provision in their pensions, and so this is a way for us to have reciprocity and to try and draw some of those teachers from the states around us to help fill the teacher shortage that we have at the current time. I vote yes on the amendment, please.
Discussion. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the amendment say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. The motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. There are no further amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill a third reading.
Third reading, Senate File Number 3540, as amended.
Third reading. Discussion. I recognize the author of the bill, Representative Nelson M.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. It's a good bill. It's, like I said, it's the technical bill that usually comes out every year from the Pension Commission, and I request a green vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll. The clerk will call the names of the member who haven't voted yet.
Anderson. Anderson.
Anderson, aye. Anderson, aye.
Anderson, aye. Bliss.
Bliss, aye.
Bliss, aye. Christensen.
Christensen, aye.
Christensen, aye. Franzen. Franzen. Frazier.
Frazier, aye.
Frazier, aye. Freiberg.
Freiberg votes yes.
Freiberg, aye. Grunhagen.
Grunehagen, aye.
Grunhagen, aye. Hamilton.
Hamilton, aye.
Hamilton, aye. Hanson, R. Hanson, R, aye. Hassan.
Hassan, aye.
Hassan, aye. Hausman.
Houseman, aye.
Hausman, aye. Lucero.
Lucero, no.
Lucero, no. Mariani. Mariani. Mason.
Mason, aye.
Mason, aye. Pinto.
Pinto, aye.
Pinto, aye. Thompson.
Thompson, aye.
Thompson, aye. Speaker Hartman. Speaker Hartman. Franzen.
Franson, yes.
Franzen, aye. Mariani. Mariani. Speaker Hartman. Speaker Hartman.
The clerk will close the roll. There being 124 ayes and 6 nays, the bill is passed as amended and its title agreed to.